When we listen closely to what our clients are saying, they will give us all the information we need to create remarkable experiences.
You know that moment, the one right after your dream client says, yes, you're celebrating with a glass of something fizzy. Maybe it's your third coffee, and then bam, panic sets in. What now? Did they make the right choice? Is this person I've just paid all my money over going to ghost me? That moment isn't just nerves, it's science, and it's one of the most overlooked, expensive gaps in your business, the buyer's remorse phase. If you are not affirming, activating, and acclimating your clients like a pro, they're not just losing sleep, but you're losing business. And guess what? Today's guest wrote the book on how to never lose a customer again. Literally. Hey, it's Deirdre Martin here, triple certified, award-winning, international best-selling author on a mission to help you hit your first 100K or your first million with way less chaos and way more joy. On today's episode, it's a masterclass. Joining me is the legend himself, Joey Coleman, former lawyer, CIA alum, yes, really, and global expert on creating unforgettable customer experiences. Joey is the Wall Street Journal best-selling author of Never Lose a Customer Again and Never Lose an Employee Again. He's helped Fortune 500s and solo coaches alike transform how they keep clients loyal, engaged, and shouting from the rooftops. In this episode, you will discover Joey's 8-phase journey to transform your customer experience from forgettable to freaking phenomenal. We're talking the single biggest mistake service providers make after a client signs on, how to reduce ghosting, increase referrals, and build ride or die loyalty. Simple, soulful touch points to wow your clients without burning out or breaking the bank. So whether you're a coach, consultant, or professional service provider building your first six-figure offer or scaling your high-end program, this episode is your cheat code to create client journeys that feel like magic from day one. Okay, let's get to it. Joey, welcome to the Master Your Business podcast.
Oh, Deirdre, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here. And thanks to everybody who's listening in as well. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
Well, Joey, you can't be as excited as me, I tell you, because your book literally changed my life and helped shape where I am in my business and career today. And so let me tell you a little bit about that. And then, I'm going to dive in some questions. So the book is called How to Never Lose a Customer Again. And when I started my business in 2021, I was planning to go headfirst into customer experience consultancy, went down that route, absolutely loved it for a time until I realized, I keep attracting these huge clients who were very much like the old banky people that I used to work with. And there's so much bureaucracy and red tape, and this is not for me. But everything I learned in the book, I still take and use with clients that I work with today. So it's been a game changer for me. Thank you, Joey.
Oh, well, it is my pleasure. Thank you so much for the kind words about the book. And it's a dream for me because when I was writing the book, my goal was to create something that was really tactical, that would help people, in a pragmatic approach to their business. This is what we can do to make our business better. So I'm so happy that you had that experience. And I got to say, I'm excited because my ancestors on one side of the family all came from County Clare. And so to be talking to someone who is actually in Ireland, I just get to claim some Irish descent, is always a treat. So thrilled to be here.
It's cool, actually. There's loads of Colemans near where I live, Joey. So maybe you got some
Maybe there's
relatives
some
here.
relatives. Yeah. If there's any kind of dodgy ones walking around, those are probably the ones that I'm related to. So it's all good.
Oh, you totally live up to your conversation in your book. Folks, you got to go and check out the book. It's so cool. All right, well, let's get into some practical stuff, Joey, and just have a bit of a conversation about customer experience and tell me a little bit around that journey piece, if you like, for people listening. And obviously it's had such an impact on me and where it comes from. But I suppose, okay, let me start again and rephrase what I'm trying to actually ask you. So working in customer experience and what I've seen and witnessed with clients over the years is very often when people look at customer experience and a customer journey, they very much and very often look at it from a process perspective rather than a client perspective and the phases and stages that clients go through in a journey. And that's really very much around what your book is about. So tell us how you got to that stage and that realization yourself, and take us through the stages. That sounds
Sure.
fun.
Well, I appreciate that because I mean, here's the thing. All humans have the same challenge. And that challenge is we have a tendency to see the world from our own perspective. And so I completely understand and empathize with the fact that when we're starting a business or we're running a small business or when we're running a large business, we have a tendency to think about, well, how is the world going to do business with me? Instead of thinking about how can I do business with the world? And I think that subtle shift in whether we're focused on our system and our process and what we need the client to do to have a successful experience, as opposed to shifting and saying, well, what is the client going to need? What is our customer going to need to feel connection, to feel appreciated, to feel valued, to feel that they're making progress, to feel that they're getting value for what they spent their hard-earned money on? That's a shift in perspective that often results in a dramatic shift in how your business operates. See, I believe there are 8 phases of a customer journey. And what I'll do, with your permission, Deirdre, is I'll go through each one kind of quickly, just so everybody gets a context for what we're talking about. And then we can dive deep into the individual phases. And before we get started, I'll tell everyone that the 8 phases all start with the letter A. And the reason they start with the letter A is to not confuse you and make you not understand which phase we're in, but rather to say you need to get each of these phases right to get A's on your report card, to have your customers say you're doing a great job in every step of the customer journey. So the first step, phase 1, is the assess phase. In the assess phase, a prospective customer is assessing whether or not they want to do business with you. They're looking at your marketing materials. They might be visiting your website, checking out testimonials about you. They might be meeting with your sales team, going through your sales process. They're getting a feel for what is it going to be like if I decide to become a customer. We then come to phase 2, the admit phase. In the admit phase, the customer admits that they have a problem or a need that they believe you can help them with. They hand over their hard-earned money. They sign on the dotted line. They transition from being a prospect to being a customer. Almost immediately after they make that decision, they go to phase 3, the affirm phase. The reason we need to affirm the customer's choice in the affirm phase is because they are feeling buyer's remorse. They are doubting the decision they just made. And if we don't come in and reinforce their decision, affirm their decision, their doubt and fear and uncertainty about this relationship compared to our excitement and joy and, eagerness to actually begin serving them. Exactly. We get so excited. If we don't close the gap between those two emotional feelings, we're in trouble for the rest of the relationship. We then come to phase 4, the activate phase. Now, the activate phase is the first real moment of truth. Okay. This could be if they've ordered a product or purchased a product at your store, when they start to use the product. If they've signed up for a service, this is when they start to partake in the service, maybe a kickoff meeting or the first time you deliver on the service. In the activate phase, we want to activate the relationship. We want to energize the relationship. We want to let this customer know that doing business with us is unlike any experience they've ever had before. We then come to phase 5. Now, Deirdre, phase 5 is where many businesses start to fall apart. They might have had challenges in the other phases, but this phase gets particularly difficult because in phase 5, the acclimate phase, we have to acclimate our new customer to our way of doing business. We've done this dozens of times, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times. But to a brand new customer, they have no idea what to expect. They have no idea what our cadence of communication is. They have no idea how frequently we're going to be interacting. They have no idea what the mini milestones are along the way. We've got to hold their hand while they acclimate. We then come to phase 6, the accomplish phase. In the accomplish phase, the customer achieves the goal they had when they originally decided to become a customer. Now, every customer of every business has a goal that they're trying to achieve. Most businesses aren't sure what that goal is, nor are they tracking the progress towards that goal. And as a result, if the customer achieves that goal, there's no one there to help them celebrate. And that's a missed opportunity. We then come to phase 7, the adopt phase. This is when the customer becomes loyal to us and only us. They're committed, they're bought in, they're excited to continue this relationship for months and years to come. The challenge in the adopt phase is most businesses take their adopters for granted. We have loyal customers that have been with us for a long time, but we just presume that they're going to continue to stay with us instead of continuing to reinvest in that relationship. And if, Deirdre, and only if we've done a great job of leading them through all 7 phases, do we come to the 8th and the final phase, the holy grail, nirvana, the thing that everybody is trying to achieve, the advocate phase, where our customer becomes a raving fan singing our praises far and wide. They're going online and writing reviews. They're giving us unsolicited testimonials. They're referring their friends, their colleagues, their family members to come be customers of ours. This is what every business hopes to have. Word of mouth marketing, lots of referrals. The problem is most businesses want to jump from phase 1, the assess phase, to phase 8, the advocate phase, without taking time to go through all the other phases. These are the 8 phases. And if we focus on each element of this, we can have long-term customers.
I love that. And it should be like an infinity loop, in my view, Joey, right?
Yeah, I often think of it as a circle, Deirdre, right? So
Mm-hmm.
running in a circle. So when you get back to the top of the circle with the advocate phase, when you introduce a new product, when you introduced a new service, they go back to the assess phase. So you're spot on. It keeps looping. And they once again assess, well, I like doing business with this company. Will I like this new product? Will I like this new service? Okay, let me think about it. Yes, I do. I'll buy, admit. Ooh, but really, should I have bought? I'm not really sure. And they're back in the affirm phase again. They cycle through the same 8 phases. Now, with a long-term customer, they will cycle faster. The wheel spins faster and faster because you've built up consistency. You've built up a reputation. They have some trust. But nonetheless, they keep going through the circle again and again.
I love the breakdown of this, Joey, for so many reasons. And when I started my business in 2021, one of the first things I did in actually 4 years ago now, in May of 2021, I launched my first group program, and it was a customer experience program for solopreneurs. And what I found was overall, they were quite good at a lot of these phases, like especially solopreneurs, because they're so grateful for customers. Once they get them, they're so grateful. So there was so much in your book that helped me support people with these different phases, and we'll definitely deep dive into them. The one thing that I found with those solopreneurs and small business owners and coaches, and I experienced it in my business in year 1 and 2, because I kind of made that pivot from the bigger corporates to the smaller companies, is the need or desire and the customer acknowledging that they have that before they come to the assess phase. And how, if there's a way to influence that so you can get them to enter that journey in the beginning. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I mean, for a customer to even consider your offering, there has to be some understanding of this being even in their universe and that they're even aware of it. And this is where marketing comes into play. I think the challenge with most marketing, though, is it's positioning the product or the service based on all of its features and benefits. Oh, look at what we have. Oh, we're faster than everyone else. We're better than everyone else. Instead of positioning the offering in terms of the value and the benefit to the customer. So often people are promoting things from their business that allow them to feel smart, allow them to feel accomplished or skilled, but the customer doesn't care about those things. You know, when someone comes out to mow my lawn at my house, right? Because I travel so much, I've got somebody that comes to mow the lawn. If they come and they say, well, we've got the brand new 4,000 HP, blah, 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 lawn mowers that we're doing. Great. That's wonderful. And I appreciate it. And I'm glad you're using good equipment. But you know what I really care about? That you will show up when you said you'll show up. so that we know what time you're here. I record a lot of podcasts. I'm honored to be a guest. You don't want them mowing the lawn while we're doing the podcast, right? So I ask them to show up at times where I'm not recording. Now, if they don't deliver on that basic element of the relationship, no matter how the lawn looks at the end, the service has not been what I needed. And so I think there's an opportunity for every business owner and coaches, respectfully. There could be a lot of work in this area for many coaches. Are you coaching about what you want to coach about? Or are you coaching what that person actually needs? And they may need things that you're not a good fit for. And that's okay. That's where you can refer them to other friends or other colleagues that are coaches that might be able to help them with that particular area of their business or their life even better than you can. But so often, I think there's this desire to push everyone into a certain box or a certain framework, and we miss out on that assessment of, well, what do they actually want and need, as opposed to how does it line up with what we offer?
I love that answer. It's so spot on and totally aligns with what I'm always saying on the show as well, Joey. So that's great. It's great to hear that from you too. And I think if we're to look then at the different offers that somebody might have in their business. So take that coach as an example. The coach might work with somebody one-to-one. They might work with somebody on a retainer package. So maybe they sell like a power hour. Maybe they sell a session where they work with people over 6 months, or maybe they have a group program. In terms of the 8 phases, how should they look at the 8 phases for each of those? And maybe you're going to take us through that when we deep dive. So please tell me if you want to hold on.
Sure. No, I think this is a great question. What I would say first and foremost, just kind of philosophically, and then we can talk more tactically. Often business leaders think, well, I'll just figure out one customer journey and apply it to everyone. That's not a recipe for success. If you're offering a power hour, if you're offering a 6-month one-on-one program, if you're offering a group program, those are 3 very, very different journeys. Now, if somebody's coming in just for an hour of spot coaching, there isn't much of a journey. It's going to all happen in 1 hour, right? So sure, there's going to be the time leading up when they decide whether or not they want to sign up and pay for this hour, right? So we're going to go through the assess phase and the admit phase and the affirm phase there. But in many ways, the activate phase and the acclimate phase and the accomplish phase are all going to happen within 1 hour. This is why I like to map each client's journey to those 8 phases. Now, let's talk about a group. Well, if we set up, we're running a group, and let's say we're going to run a group coaching program for 3 months, and we're going to have a call every week, kind of a somewhat standard package that a coach might offer. Each week needs to build on the previous weeks. You're acclimating them as you go through the process. And one of the things you want to be thinking about is, how am I delivering value along the journey? How am I celebrating accomplishments and successes that the clients have had along the way? Because what most coaches do is they get to the final session of the 3-month period, so maybe session 12, and then they're like, so who would like to sign up again for another 3 months? And it feels awkward and it feels uncomfortable, and they don't like to ask. The clients don't like to be asked in that way. Whereas if we were thinking along the way and we were saying along the beginning, hey, what is your goal you're trying to accomplish? Oh, I'm trying to get more clarity about how to deal with my team. Okay, great. If you get that clarity with how to deal with your team right now, would it be advantageous to continue to be part of this conversation so that you can continue to deal with your team in positive ways going forward? Oh, yeah, it would. Great. So let's work together to mark where your progress is so that we can continue to fine and hone tune your ability to interact with your team over time. Well, now what we've done is we've said, I expect you to be a client for a long, long time, without it at all feeling we've made it about what they're trying to accomplish, right? So if we make it about what the client is trying to accomplish, we never have to worry about being salesy. We sound salesy when we're trying to make it about what we want to accomplish. Well, we have this program that you sign up for, but then you really get the value in the next program. But the third program is where we really see the magic. Well, bring the magic to the first program. Give it to me now. Let me have the experience now.
I love that. Joey, I have to jump in here with an AI tool that I've found to be incredibly helpful for this, and that's Fathom. So I'm even using Fathom to record this podcast. Fathom is great with clients' permission to record calls, coaches. I know with the coaching, with the code of ethics and things like that, you need to be really mindful. But if you have a client's permission to record calls for their benefit and yours and share them, Fathom is a fantastic tool because it will capture what the client's goal is if you've missed it. And especially with the pro option, and it will allow you later to come back and reflect on that and even to share with the client. When we met then, this is what you said your goal was. Let's track your progress against your goal and see how you're doing. So great tool, my favorite AI find of 2024. And I'll link it in the show notes if you've not heard of it yet. But Joey, for everything you've just said, Fathom has been my game changer for helping me make sure I'm doing this phase in my
I
business.
love it. I love it. No, it's a great tool. And here's the thing, and I do some coaching with clients as well and love using tools like this to be able to, feedback and communicate. The other thing I'll say about goals is often as business owners, as coaches, as leaders, we get frustrated when the client changes the goal. I would encourage everyone to recognize that you change your goals all the time, or at least I do. I don't know about you, Deirdre, but at least I do. I constantly am changing my goals. I'll have a goal that I want to achieve this by this date. And then if I don't achieve it by that date, I shift the date out a little and now it's a new goal for a different date. Or maybe I realize the goal was too big and instead I pull it back and I go for a goal that's a little smaller. Or maybe I'm moving in one direction and suddenly I realize, wait a second, there's an even better way to go. And so I switch the goal entirely. I think one thing that coaches could, and this is a sweeping statement about coaches, and I include myself in this, okay, is I think coaches could do a better job of building in check-ins along the way, especially in longer engagements, to say, when we originally started, you said your top goal was blah, blah, blah. We're making great progress on that goal. But how has that goal evolved? How has it changed? Is it different? Is it still the same goal? Are we still focused on that? Because in our conversations, you've also been talking about this other thing. And I'm wondering, is that now becoming part of the goal, or should I be seeing that as a separate thing? And these are the type of questions that I think can get a client to be self-reflective and introspective so that you can continue to make sure your criteria for success match their criteria for success.
Totally agree. Oh, seriously, Joey, you're so speaking my language right now. And again, like that, I think it's important to have some accountability throughout the coaching programs. This is another A. If you're going to adopt Joey's phases, you've got the awareness at the start and you're going to add in accountability as well, right? So it's all aligned, Joey. We've made it 10 now.
I love it. I love it. We just keep adding A's. It's perfect.
But with the accountability, for sure, I think that's a great way to check in. I love that you've said that. Okay, so let's dive into your 8 phases, Joey, and really get granular on them and really pragmatic. So go. Where do we begin? Assess.
Well, we can go through them one at a time. So in the assess phase, when someone comes to your website, let's talk about one that I think is often missed by many organizations, by many coaches, by many groups. When you or I, Deirdre, go looking for something online and we go to the website, what are some of the things we want to know? If we're looking for a new pair of shoes and we go to a website that has shoes, what do we want to know? Well, we want to know what the shoes look like and we want to know the price. Those are kind of 2 of the top things, right? What amazes me is the number of websites I go to that don't have photos of anyone in the company and they have no information about the price.
And I've come across websites and they don't even name the people in the company.
They don't name the people. We don't have a photo. We don't know who they are. We don't know how much it costs. And here's the challenge. When we don't know how much it costs, often as business owners, we presume, Well, if they're not sure what it'll cost, they'll just fill out a form and then I'll get on the phone with them and then I can tell them what it costs. And it'll be easier for them to hear it from me than to read it on a screen. Or you can put it on the screen. And if they look and they see the cost or the range of the cost, they can self-select if they're ready for it. I am not inexpensive to hire to give speeches. I know I am expensive to hire to give speeches. But if someone only has $100 US to hire their speaker, I'm not a good fit. I want them to know that when they come to the website. Now, some people will say, well, Joey, but what if it's an amazing opportunity? It's in an amazing venue with a perfect audience for you. Would you ever do it for less? Sure. But those people are going to fill out the form and sell me on why I should take it and do it for less, as opposed to me spending my time getting on the phone with people who don't have the budget, never will, and aren't going to be able to be good clients. Now, are there other resources available? Yes, there's a book for $20. So if you can't afford to hire me to speak, you can buy the audiobook and I'll read the audiobook to you, right? Or whatever it may be. And so I think I would say one of the first things people need to do on the assess phase is imagine going to your website. Am I going to be able to answer the key questions I have of what's it going to be like, look like, what's the thing, who's going to be delivering it, who are the people, how much is it going to cost, and about how long will it take? Those are really the top 4 questions. And if your website doesn't answer those questions, there's an opportunity to make some enhancements.
That's great. I love so much what you just said there. And I think I would add to that in story brand, because I'm a story brand coach as well.
Oh, lovely.
One of the things that we say is it's got to pass the grunt test.
Yes.
And the grunt test is, what is it? How does it make my life better? And how do I get it? So those, I think you've pretty much called them out in your 4 questions, Joey. And to go back to the shoe thing, the composition is important to me. I want to make sure they're leather shoes, right? So
fair enough.
You've got to know, I think with this, what you're selling. And I think with the assess phase, you've got to call out the thing that you're selling. And so far as that, maybe if it's coaching around anxiety or coaching around confidence, that bit is spelled out, because that's the composition that your clients might be really looking for. So I think that's really key too. So
absolutely
that's great. Okay, so that's phase A. Love it. Now,
all right.
Phase A, assess.
Yeah. So phase 2, the admit phase. What's fascinating in the admit phase is we're usually talking about a sale. And in a coaching context, there's usually a contract, right? I have seen more projects fall apart when we have the sales call, everybody's feeling good, and suddenly it's time to send the agreement or to send the contract. And now I'm looking at a 50-page document with all kinds of rules and regulations written by lawyers, very constrained. Now, I know that's the way many American sales go. I'm not exactly sure if that's exactly how they go in Ireland, but they really skew that heavy that way in the United States. I used to be a lawyer. Okay. So it's okay for me, I believe, to make fun of lawyers. All right. Because you were a lawyer. I'm a recovering attorney now. The first step's admitting you have a problem. Then there's 11 steps after that. But one of the things I think you should do is think about, is your agreement easy to understand? Is your contract easy to understand and fun to sign? Joey, a fun contract? Yes. Is it fun to sign? Is it playful? Does it speak to your personality? Does it counter all the feelings of this is a legal document with more of a we're going to have great success together? Can I feel the excitement that you have for the project in the contract you're asking me to sign to start the project? Now, this obviously applies more to service-based companies than product companies. We don't usually have a contract when we buy a product. We just buy the product. But what are we doing to make that interaction where there's the transition from prospect to customer enjoyable? This is something we can all work on.
What a great idea. I've never thought about that. And yes, I've redone my contract in the last few months to update it, to make it more relevant and current, but it's freaking boring. It's like legal mumbo jumbo crap. I'm like, I'm so going to make my contract more fun, Joey. Thank you for the inspiration.
It's my pleasure. Like, for example, my contracts, there is a page that has some of the legal mumbo jumbo in it, but it has a big asterisk at the top and it says, the lawyers love this part.
Love it.
That's all it is. I'm making fun of the fact that, yes, in business, especially as we start to charge higher amounts and do projects that have bigger scale and bigger scope, we want to have legal protections, but we also want to be crystal clear that everyone understands what the rules of engagement are, what the expectations are, who's doing what happens if somebody doesn't do what they said they were going to do. We want to outline that in clarity in the agreement, but it doesn't mean that it needs to be boring. It can still be fun.
Yeah, even the area where it's pre-populated about what you sign. Like I've got a program called Millionized, and I'm just thinking, how could I play with the language on that? And it could be, I want to be millionized, sign here.
I
You know,
love it.
something like that, because it's like
Exactly.
movement. Okay, I'm totally doing that. Anybody who's going to see a future Millionized contract, pull me up on it. If it's not done, you can hold me accountable.
I love it. And send me a copy when it's ready because I'd love to see what you put together, Deirdre. That's awesome.
More accountability. Oh gosh. Okay,
I
I
love
have
it.
to do it now.
All
Right.
right. We
Phase
then come to
three.
phase 3, right? The affirm phase. Now, what's interesting is the affirm phase, as a reminder, is the time between when they sign on the dotted line or they buy the product or sign up for the service and when it actually starts. Now, in some businesses, that can be a day, a week, a month. Who knows how long, right? Somebody might sign up for a group coaching program, but your next group doesn't start for 2 months. What are you doing during that phase to affirm their choice? What are you doing to communicate with them? Most businesses, by the way, are doing nothing, nothing. So even if you just were to send one email that said, I'm so excited for the program, it's starting in 2 weeks, see you then, that would be better than nothing. So look at your business, figure out how long is the affirm phase, and think about what communications or interactions or touch points can I have with this new customer during that affirm phase that make them say, I made the right choice. Okay, these people are excited. Okay, these people are going to take care of me. Okay, they're thinking about me even though it hasn't started. Okay, they appreciate the business. Even writing a thank you note. I think writing a thank you note and sending it in the post is a great way to say, thank you for your business. We're excited to work together. I don't know about you, Deirdre. I get very few thank you notes in the post, right? We all were taught when we were growing up, maybe, hey, send a thank you note after you get a gift. I appreciate that. Well, when a client signs up to do business with you, that's a gift. You should express gratitude. And a great way to do it, especially in this increasingly digital age where everyone is dying for physical proof that they matter, analog interactions, a handwritten thank you note sent in the post goes a long way to standing out and affirming the choice that they made to do business with you.
I think this phase is overlooked so often by
All the
people,
time.
all the time. And like even if you're offering something free, if it's a masterclass or a webinar, that affirmation is still really important. And keeping the communication open between the time that somebody says yes till the time the event goes ahead. And like to quickly brainstorm some ideas here, Joey, for people listening. Like and as an example, something that can happen, and I've experienced this, is where there's been a gap between the affirm phase and the activation phase, people get cold feet.
Yes.
And sometimes, and they decide to not go ahead then, which can obviously, if they're paying monthly or whatever, you can lose a client in there if you're not careful about the affirmation. But I had a recent example of this where I had a client and we were about to start. She'd signed up to work with me in Many Nice. And then what happened was she, on the call where she affirmed she was going ahead, she said, actually, Deirdre, I'm taking the whole month of April off. And I went, oh, okay. So one of the first things I do with people when they join Million Eyes is we spend a full day together strategizing on their business. And it's whatever it is that they want to strategize on, that's what we'll do. Total strategy day. So I'm not going to say it's X or Y because it's unique to every customer. But one of the things that I've noticed as well from an activation phase is if they say yes, and then you go ahead and you do the thing. If there's that big time lapse, very often the goal changes as well because they've had more time to reflect. And so what I thought, okay, how am I going to solve this? And so instead of doing the 1 day session up front, I actually gave her a free, well, extra free, if you like, a 90-minute session to plan what would we cover in the strategy day instead. And I pushed out the strategy day to May. Now, it was supposed to be this week, but I've had laryngitis, so we've had to reschedule until next week. But that's what we did. So instead of that, it was a 90-day session and a 90-minute session. And then I gave her some pre-work ahead of the strategy day. So that's even more powerful and she's fully bought in. So it's a way then once we go and we start the session, she's already activated. And that was just a way to make sure that that time gap wasn't too long or felt like, because it's a big investment in Million Eyes, that it wasn't paid a lot of money, I'm getting nothing here, I'm waiting ages before I start to activate. And that was one way that we did it. Have you got other examples, Joey, you could share for people?
I think that's a great example, Deirdre. And you know what I might even say is, as a slight tangent on that, is when we listen closely to what our clients are saying, they will give us all the information we need to create remarkable experiences. So when this client told you, well, I'm taking off the month of April. Oh, what are you going to be doing? Oh, well, I'm going to be on holiday. Oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go to France. What are you going to do there? Oh, I'm going to sit on the beach and read books. Oh, fantastic. I hope you have a lovely holiday. Meanwhile, you're writing this information down. And then at the end of March, before their sabbatical starts in April, imagine them getting a little care package from you. The project hasn't even started, but they're getting a little care package. And maybe in that care package, there's some sunscreen for if they're going to lay on the beach. And maybe there's a copy of your favorite book that has nothing to do with your business. Nothing to, don't send them your business book and say, read my business book while you're on vacation. No, send them something that you either love or a favorite book of yours or a book that you think they might enjoy or something that just says, I'm thinking of you while you're on your holiday, while you're on your sabbatical, while you're taking your time off. And what that does is it sends a very clear message to the customer or the client that you care about them as a human being, not just as a money-making element of your business. So I think listening for those things and then communicate, and you're absolutely right. The longer the gap between when they admit that they want to work together, sign on the dotted line, enter the contract, give you their money, and the activate phase, when you start delivering on the thing they purchase, the longer that gap, the more you need to be thinking about what am I doing to keep their excitement high, to keep the engagement high.
Yeah, fantastic. And part of that actually did result in me suggesting some books for her to read on her holiday. Now, I didn't send them to her. I'm like, in hindsight, oh, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd thought of that
But
next
but
time.
but yeah, and even so, one of the things I love about this, Deirdre, and I so appreciate the honesty of that answer. The reason I love customer experience work and employee experience work is because it's never done. You're never completely done. You'll always be thinking, if you're doing this right, of ways you could make it even better next time. I think that's what makes it exciting. I think that's what makes most relationships exciting is when we're thinking about, oh, this was great. How do we do it again? How might we do it differently next time? How might I add to it? What, maybe I gave them too much work. That's something that many, forgive me for going on a rant, but so many coaches give too much homework. So many coaches. They'll be like, oh, we're going to start working together. Great. Here's your first homework assignment before our first call. I'd ask everybody listening in, raise your hand if you loved homework as a kid growing up? Oh, that sound we hear is very few hands going up. A couple went up, but very few. Okay. Now, the ones that liked homework, great. How much? Half an hour, 5 hours, 10 hours? I worked with a coaching client years ago that when you signed up for the program, they gave you a bunch of videos and workbooks. They've been running this coaching program for years. They gave you all this information that was targeted to your things that you said you wanted to work on so that you could see everything they had taught about in the past on that before your first call. On average, they sent 60 hours worth of videos and worksheets to be watched and completed before the first coaching call. Now, folks, those of you that can't see Deirdre, she's just fallen over. We're going to have to wait to revive her. She's in shock right now, right? 60 hours. Don't do that. I know you want to provide value. I know you want to be seen as being helpful. I get it. But the best coaches, I think, this is Joey's worldview, the best coaches in the world, the homework they make you do is considering questions and thinking, not filling out assessments, filling out paperwork, watching videos, reading books. Those things are all valuable. I love all of those things. But the coaches, at least in my life, who have made the greatest impact are the ones who have said, you know, between now and our next call, I'd love you to think about one question. Here's the question. I want you to write it down. In fact, what I want you to do is every morning when you wake up, I want you to just write the question out. You don't have to write your answer. Just write the question. Now we're having a different type of conversation.
Oh, that's so interesting. And I'm like, oh, what would the question be then?
Right. And it's different for every client, right? And it changes and it evolves over time. But it's like, how are we sparking thought and curiosity and transformation? Words that I imagine show up on many of your websites about what you're offering as a coach. Lean more into that, I think, and you'll have better results than leaning into, but let me show you my value. Let me give you this worksheet. Let me give you this book to read. Let me assign this homework. I'm not saying you can't do those things. I'm just saying that the number of people who are going to be really excited about that is smaller than you think.
It's interesting. And I think I've observed something similar as well, Joey. Like a lot of my clients love the step-by-step stuff that I offer in one of my programs. And particularly because they're new to coaching or they're new to their business, maybe, or in the early days and they're just not getting the traction. So they want the step-by-step to help them. But once they come to grips with that stuff, and the people who are a bit more established, I don't have the step by step because it's totally tailored to them. So it's interesting to see that, you know, when you call that out and when I look at what I've built, that's exactly it. It's exactly around those sorts of things. That's so cool. And I'm thinking just as well, if for a few other people, if you're in that stage where somebody is affirmed, like what else could you do? And I think a great thing is you could maybe send them like an episode of your favorite podcast that relates to something they've discussed. It doesn't have to be anything that's costly. It could be just something that's thoughtful that helps them realize you're thinking of them. So yeah.
Totally. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they think about gifts is that for the gift to be valuable, there has to be a price tag associated with it. Not true at all. The mark of a wonderful gift is its thoughtfulness. To me, the very best gifts in the world are the ones that when the person receives the gift, they say, oh, they know me. They know what I like. They know my interest. They know my hobbies. They know what team I root for. They know where I like to go on vacation. They know my favorite actress, whatever it may be, that allows you to feed back to them that when they were talking, you were listening. And the more we can do that, and I think coaches have a wonderful opportunity to do this because so often in coaching sessions, someone will tell a story about their childhood, or they will tell a story about something that's going on with their spouse or with their children or their colleague at work or whatever it may be. And in those stories, they will give you little clues about what matters to them. if you're capturing that, and maybe you're capturing it with Fathom, and you're making a note of that later when it comes time to send them a gift or do a little something special for them or reward and celebrate the accomplishment. This is something that I'm jumping ahead to the accomplish phase, if I may, Deirdre, which is we're going to skip ahead real quick to phase 6, accomplish. One of the biggest missed opportunities, I think, for coaches is coaches do an amazing job of figuring out what the client's goal is and helping them make progress towards that goal. And then when the client achieves that goal, saying, oh, good job, you achieved the goal. It's a missed opportunity to celebrate even more. What could you send them? What could you do for them that reinforces that they've actually achieved the goal that they said they wanted to achieve as part of your program? And you don't have to put your logo on it. In fact, you shouldn't put your logo on it, because if it's a good enough gift, they'll remember where they got it. Let me repeat that. If it's a good enough gift, and by good enough, I mean thoughtful enough, you don't have to put your name on it for them to remember. If I'd ask anybody who's joining us to think about the best gifts you ever received, think about a favorite toy you received growing up. Think about a really special gift you received from your partner or your significant other, someone in your life. When you think about those gifts, I'd be willing to bet on none of those gifts does it say the name of the person who gave it to you. You remember who gave it to you because it was such a great gift. So when we're thinking about doing our gifts, think about, I'm going to give something so personal and valuable that it doesn't have to have my name on it. They'll just remember because of the emotional impact it had on them.
Oh, amazing. And Joey, I've got to ask about your thoughts on gamification, because we recently had Caitlin Johnson on the show, and Caitlin came and spoke about gamification and unlocking levels and badges. And I'm like, this is a question for me as much as anybody else, because I'm building out version 2.0 of one of my programs and I'm gamifying it. And like every stage, there's like a little badge that somebody will get. They'll clock up points and then they'll win. There'll be little things that they'll unlock as they get to new levels. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are around tying in gamification with the accomplishment phase.
I think gamification can be a wonderful, wonderful tool. I think the secret is to think about the gamification in a way that resonates with the client, not in a way that resonates with your business process. Right. So I think lots of times what people do is they say, oh, well, every client needs to hand in their answers to these 5 questions. So when they do, we're going to give them a little badge that they can put on LinkedIn to say they completed their first homework assignment. It's like, who's going to put that badge on LinkedIn? No one. You're thinking that, oh, that's gamification. Now, counterbalance that against, I read books on the Kindle app on my phone, right, from Amazon. They have a challenge that is running behind it for how many consecutive days you've read. So they track, did you read today? Did you read yesterday? How many books have you read, etc. I'm going to call mine up here real quick because it's relevant to our conversation. This is probably one of the best gamifications that I have running in my life, because it really is something that I pay attention to and I focus on. I have now read for 529 days in a row. I have not missed a day of reading on my Kindle app in 529 days, 175 weeks. Okay. So that's over 3 years of reading every week on my Kindle app. Now, I have my wife and my sons do Duolingo, right? And they talk about their streaks. And I was just at an event recently and a bunch of people were talking about Duolingo and everybody was comparing their streaks and their streak freezes. So I think there's an opportunity to think about, are you creating a gamification that the people get excited about? And is it unlocking things that they want? Now on the Kindle app, it doesn't unlock anything other than my bragging rights. That's the only thing it unlocks. But in your business, you could have things that unlocked certain gifts or certain experiences, or maybe, hey, after you sign up for my 3rd 6-month group coaching program, you get a private one-on-one day with me. Whoa, like that's very different than what I've been getting from the group. You mean I could get one-on-one? Yeah, if you've done these. And so now you're incentivizing the behavior you want for your business with a bonus or a gift for the client that is really going to resonate and be special to them.
Oh, what a great idea. And I love how you've talked about that. Yeah, the streaks are so important, and you're so right. Like, I have joined things where people are like, oh, share this badge on your LinkedIn. I'm never going to share the badge on the LinkedIn. So the gamification stuff I'm doing, there's none of that. I'm going to call it crap. There's none of that crap. It's like, it's totally a badge of honor for you to wear, but it's as you unlock the points, you get some secret things. And yeah, there might be some free bits of my time. Okay, so let's come back because we know we jumped ahead really quickly to step 6. So let's come back really quickly to 4. So what stage 4?
Yeah. So in the activate stage, let's talk about it in the context of most coaches. I would imagine the activate stage for most coaches is the first coaching session. Now, everybody's going to be nervous about this. The coach is going to be nervous about this. The client is going to be nervous about this, whether it's one-on-one or group. What are we doing to make that first session remarkable? Okay. It can be something as simple as a video that goes out the night before. Now, that'd be at the tail end of the affirm stage, kind of bleeding into the activate stage, that says, I'm so excited to see you tomorrow. It's different. It could be something as simple as after that first coaching session, within an hour, they get the detailed notes from Fathom, annotated by you as well, calling out, hey, here are the things you said on the call. Here are the things I heard, the specific goals. Super excited to work together. So they start to say, oh, I don't have to worry about taking notes as much because Deirdre's Fathom app is taking the notes. I don't have to worry about remembering all the things that were said because I'm going to get this summary afterwards. I'm going to get this explanation. And now we're starting to build consistency of experience. One thing that one of my clients likes to do is, because they operate entirely virtually, they send a gift to arrive on the first day of the first virtual session. So that morning, like they've got a coaching session in the afternoon, that morning, a package arrives at the house and they open up the package and there's the client's favorite beverage. And they say, this is for you to enjoy during our coaching session. And then the client comes to the call with the beverage and is like, oh my gosh, this is so thoughtful. How did you know? This is what hey. And so we're associating a physical experience of drinking their favorite beverage with the mental experience of having their first coaching session, which creates an emotional experience that connects the two and makes people feel positive about it. You're only limited by the bounds of your own creativity when it comes to creating these remarkable little moments along the journey.
What a great idea. Okay, I'm inspired. I'm going to be brainstorming after this again, Joey. Thank you. Okay, so that is activate. What's next?
So after activate is the acclimate phase. And as we talked about when we were going through these, this is where most businesses start to fall apart. They lose the plot, right? They're focused on, oh, we're doing the next call, as opposed to helping the client understand their progress. One of the best tools we can use, I think, in the acclimate phase is a visual map that shows the journey. And it shows the progress so that they can see visually, oh, I'm on my 3rd of 12 calls. I'm on my 6th of 12 calls. I'm on my 8th of 12 calls. So they can see the progress that's going and what the expectations are along the way. So many businesses think that because they talk about it in their marketing materials or they feature it in their contract, that the client will remember the process and remember all the steps. Friends, let me break the news to you. They won't. They probably didn't read it the first time. And they certainly, if they did read it, they don't remember it weeks, months, years later. Our job as the provider, and I use that word very intentionally, the provider of the service or the product, is to provide the roadmap of what that progress is with us so that we can help them understand.
That's such a great idea. And there's different tools that I've seen people use for this. And it can be, you can use a free tool like Notion to track your calls. If you can create client dashboards on Notion, you don't have to pay for this stuff either. And Kajabi has that progress map as well on the top. So if you've got e-learn things in Kajabi, they can see the progress they're making. And what other things have I seen people use for this? Like again, even on Kajabi, if you've got a framework and you've got an image of your framework, you can call out to people, we're at this stage of the framework now. And it's like a visual of literally where they're at. So there's loads of different ways
Absolutely.
to do this, right?
Absolutely. I had a chiropractor client years ago who did a map of your wellness journey.
Hmm.
And what he did is at your very first appointment, when you signed up, and you signed up for a multi-program session, right, of adjustments, you got the map of your wellness journey, and you got a little character that was a magnet that had your name on it. And what he said is, when you get home tonight, I want you to put this on your refrigerator and put yourself right here at the beginning of the race. We're going to be working together for a while. And as you go through the process, every time he would see that client again, he'd say, okay, after today, I feel like you're at mile marker 3 or point 3 on the map. Go home tonight and move yourself to point 3. What's interesting about that is, because he was talking about health and fitness and nutrition and sleep and all those things, every time they reached for the refrigerator, they were reminded of their goal and where they were in the process. It also creates an interesting sales tool. Why? Because anyone that came over to visit that client's house for a dinner, for a party, and went to the refrigerator to get some refreshments would see a map with a little figure with the name of the host on the thing. And what do you think they would do? They would say, hey, what is that? What is that all about? Oh, I got that from my chiropractor. We're tracking my fitness. I'm working on this. I'm working on my nutrition, my sleep, my health, all these things. What's the name of your chiropractor? Well, now we're getting into word of mouth marketing. The advocacy that we're all striving to get is being given and delivered by our client without any type of a weird, hey, will you make sure if you have a dinner party, you tell everyone about your chiropractor? No, that's not, that would be a horrible request. But if we've given them something that is for them, it's not for the purpose of promoting us, it's for the purpose of them tracking their progress. If it happens to promote us in the same way, well, that's a nice ancillary benefit.
Happy days. What an amazing idea. I'm like, oh, I think I might model that one for sure. I
I
love
love it. I love it. Steal all the ideas, steal shamelessly.
Yeah.
It's why I
Yeah.
love working in so many industries, because what's normal in one industry is completely abnormal in another industry. So the more you study different industries, the more you can pull things that are very common in one to be very unique in the one you're operating in.
No, you know what, Joey, that point is so valid. And I've had people who've hired me purposefully because I had no experience in their industry. And I think there's a little bit of a misnomer where people think, oh, I need to hire a mentor who's in the same industry as me. That's not always the best type of mentor to hire. So yeah,
Absolutely.
great
Absolutely.
point.
Well, and to be honest, it's why in my book there are 46 case studies, all from different industries, different sized businesses, different locations around the world, different, number of employees, different amounts of revenue, because my goal was to say there is someone in this book like you, either just starting into it for a while, been doing it for years, small team, medium sized team, large team, works one on one with customers, works one to many with customers. There's examples throughout, because I want you to be inspired by things that aren't in your industry as much as you're paying attention to the things that are.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book, folks, for sure. Check it out. And I'll share the link in the show notes as well, Joey. Okay, so what phase was that? That was
So that was the acclimate phase. We already talked about the accomplish phase. So we've got 2 more phases. Let's go through these quickly. The first one is the adopt phase. So the theory here is, when was the last time you told your most valuable clients that they were your most valuable clients?
regularly because I love them. I'm like,
Which
I
is
love working with
which
you. It's so much
which
fun.
which is fabulous. Now, let me put you on the spot a little, Deirdre, if I may.
Oh,
Do you tell them that verbally on the calls and the
yes,
sessions you do with them? Do
yes.
you tell them any other way?
So, for example, and I will send like sometimes an exclusive invite to something so that they get to come. So, for example, I'm doing Millionize the Boardroom. We're recording this in May, folks. So this episode might be released after the event, but if it sparks interest, send me a DM or reach out. I'm doing Millionize the Boardroom. And all of my one-to-one clients and Millionize clients are getting an exclusive invitation to attend Millionize the Boardroom and without any extra cost because
I love it. I love it. So your most loyal clients, your adopters, are getting a
yes.
free gift
Yeah.
to come attend the event. I love every piece of that. I also love that you regularly tell your clients how much you enjoy working with them. One opportunity, I think, for many coaches is that they tell their clients they love their working with them while they're on the call. Having been the client of many, many coaches over the years, with all due respect, within about 24 hours after the call is over, I've forgotten most of the things that were said on the call. I remember some of the things. I remember some of the homework assignment. I remember some of the challenges. The transformation is alchemizing and happening within me, but I don't necessarily remember all the specific steps. I don't specifically remember everything that was said. And with many top performers, and I know many of your coaches work with top performers or people that are committed to personal growth and development, the thing that they often forget is their own value. They often forget the impact they're making in the world. They often forget their progress. I'm a big fan of the gratitude video. Here's how it works. You pull out your phone, you switch the camera to selfie mode, you slide it over to video. You hold your arm out to shoot a little selfie video of yourself, and the video goes something like this. I'll pretend I'm making one for Deirdre and that she's my client and I'm a coach. Deirdre, I had to shoot this video for you today. I love working with you. You are such an incredible human. You're a ray of light. When I see that we have a call scheduled on the calendar, when I wake up that morning, my heart skips a little faster because I know we're about to have a fantastic conversation. When you come on the screen for our virtual sessions, you light up my entire computer. But as if your personality wasn't enough, which it is, I love how thoughtful you are. I love the curiosity you have. I have the inquiry you have. You know, when I think about my clients, I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of wonderful people. Don't tell them, but you're my favorite.
I'm
Thanks
like,
for being
oh,
you.
heart sign for Joey.
And then you send, right? And then you send. The reason I love the gratitude video is because most of us have never received a gratitude video. We're all walking around with a device in our pocket, in our purse, in our hand that has this powerful video camera that we can shoot a little video of ourselves and text it to our client. And most coaches have the cell phone number of their client, so they can just text it right straight away without any difficulty. And yet we're not using the tool. We're not using the tool because we don't like the way our hair looked that day. We don't like the sound of our voice on a video. We don't think that, it's not quiet enough to record here. I didn't plan a script. I wasn't sure what to say. Those are excuses that are keeping you from expressing gratitude to your top adopters, your most loyal clients. It's a missed opportunity, and I encourage folks to do it.
Okay, videos, I'll be doing them. Thank you, Joey. More inspiration.
I love it. I love it. And then we come to phase 8, the final phase, the advocate phase, right? So when a client gives you a testimonial, when a client writes a review, what do? Most of us say thank you in an email. Most of us say, oh, that was so kind of you, in a fleeting passing moment. And yet most of us want these testimonials for our websites, for our marketing materials. If someone is going to put their name and reputation on the line by promoting you, by advocating for you, I believe that you should express your appreciation for that in a way that is commensurate with the value of the advocacy. Let me tell a quick story. Years ago, I had two clients, okay? One of the clients I knew very well and had been working with for a long time. And, or excuse me, he had two clients. So I knew this client. He had two clients, one of which he had known for a long time, one of which was kind of newer in the relationship. But he realized that they would be good clients for each other. So he introduced them. From a single phone call, it led to $1 million contract that month. Amazing introduction. $1 million contract. The client who got the contract sent my friend a thank you. Fabulous. Thank you for that referral. With a Starbucks gift card for $15. This was $1 million contract. He would have been better served to send no gift card and just send the thank you note than to send the thank you note with a gift card that said, I value $1 million for my business at $15 to you. Now, folks, I'm not saying you need to pay cash referral fees. That's not the point of this story. The point of this story is your appreciation for the referral should be commensurate with the value of the referral. If it's a big referral, either do a big referral fee, or if it's not about the money, which again, see earlier comments about the gifts, it's not about the money, do something hyper thoughtful. Open a door for them that they couldn't open on their own by making an introduction to someone for their business, or figure out a way to extend your gratitude and your appreciation in a way that really impacts them.
Oh my God, what a great story. And what a great way to wrap up the 8 phases as well, Joey. I'm like, oh my gosh, what would you do? What would you give them? Or I think an amazing weekend break or something like that to just show your appreciation. Anything. Oh my gosh, a $15 Starbucks card. What the heck?
I know, for $1 million contract, not a good choice.
Not a good place. Joey, oh my gosh, this conversation has been phenomenal. Like, honestly, if I could keep you for longer, I would, but your time is valuable. And I'm like, I loved your little gratitude video. Like, seriously, I was like doing hearts, folks. It was amazing. Joey, tell us, where can people find you? Somebody wants to work with you. How can they do that? And what is coming up for you?
I love it. So the best place to find me is on my website, joeycoleman.com. That's Joey, like you might call a baby kangaroo or a young child, you know. Coleman, Coleman, joeycoleman.com. There you'll find all sorts of information about keeping your customers, about keeping your employees. My first book is called Never Lose a Customer Again. My second book was called Never Lose an Employee Again. Both are available wherever you like to get your books. If you've liked the sound of my voice, there's an audiobook. I'll read the book to you. And I would just encourage folks to think creatively about the type of interactions you can have with clients. One of the amazing gifts of our human condition, and that coaches get to experience more than many other professions, is that you are there when people are having transformative moments in their life. They're either moving away from something that they don't want to be a part of anymore, or they're moving towards something they'd like to be part of in the future, or both. Don't take that for granted. You're in a really unique and special place. Enjoy the opportunity to make those moments for them as magical as they are and as fulfilling as they are for you as a coach.
Oh, what a powerful way to finish the session, Joey. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And honestly, thank you for the influence you've had on me and my business and career from just your book. But even today has been super powerful. So for me as well. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Deirdre. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who listened in. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Well, that was one for the books, wasn't it? Here's what you absolutely need to walk away with. First, your client journey doesn't start at the sale. It starts way before in the assess phase. Second, affirmation is non-negotiable. Don't let your client's excitement fizzle out before you've even delivered a thing. And third, celebrate your clients like crazy. Progress, wins, loyalty, make them feel seen, heard, and deeply appreciated. If you do one thing this week, let it be this. Map your client journey using Joey's 8-phase framework. Identify one phase you're currently neglecting and make a micro upgrade. Even a handwritten thank you note can be a game changer for your clients. If you want some more of Joey's brilliance, head straight over to joeycoleman.com and grab his book, Never Lose a Customer Again. It'll transform how you do business. And I've shared the link in the show notes. If you love this episode, share it with a friend or your group chat of fellow entrepreneurs. When you share, you're not just helping them, you're helping this podcast reach more coaches, consultants, service providers, people who are ready to build unforgettable businesses. And don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Every tap, star, and comment helps more people find us, and we seriously appreciate it. So until next time, keep mastering your business. And hey, your dream clients are waiting.